All right, hi guys. Getting on just a few minutes early because I want to make sure that we're streaming on YouTube. Um, yeah, so just gonna get over here, make sure we're on YouTube, make sure that I show up as live there. How's your weekend going? I have a cold sore, as you can see, kind of gross. But that's part of being on my daily chemotherapy meds. Unfortunately, I have very little immune system. So when I do actually, let me see something. I think, sorry. So when I actually do have a cold sore or anything like that, takes me longer to recover from it, so my daily medicines for my cold sores aren't working. Recover from it, so my daily medicines for my cold sores aren't working. I have to mute that over there. Okay, so, but now I'm gonna be way far behind over there because I muted it for a second, and so yeah, it's going to be a little bit behind. All right, so it's now 10 o'clock. Welcome. Like I said, my name is Roxy. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Bolingbrook, Illinois, home of WeatherTech and Cosmics. How many of you have looked that up yet? Okay, and like I said, I have a cold sore, so I'm going to go down to the stamping surface really quick because I'm just self-conscious about it, but I will be in the little corner down on the stamping surface. So there we go. All right, so we're on week 3, cutting tools. Very excited. Now, cutting tools are going to be anything that cuts by itself, not really needing anything else. So we won't get into dies till much later. So these will be cutting tools that are independent of having to use anything else in order to cut. All right, let me go ahead and put it off the side. If you want to follow along in the catalog, as I know some of you do, in our annual catalog, it's going to be on page 145. You're going to see our various cutting tools. We're not going to go over the scoring tool. We'll go over that when we do dry embossing, because you can use that for some fun little techniques. So we're mostly going to deal with just the cutting tools. So we will do this. And then, sorry, I had to look at my fingers, it's very dry here. And then we'll do some punches, because punches on their own are a cutting tool. So let me put my, I have a runny nose too besides, so sorry. Let me put that off to the side here. So the main one we're going to talk about, and I have my little bag, let me grab it over here, have my little bag of white scraps that we will be using to show you how these different cutting tools are used. And I know people are watching, so as long as you can hear me and see me okay, I'm not fuzzy, there's not like light coming in, can you give me a thumbs up or just an okay in the chat section, just so I know. And if you're watching this after we're not live anymore, welcome. All right, itch my nose there a little bit. The trimmer. Let me do it this way. So I'll put it this way so you can see it all. So here is the Stampin' Up! Trimmer. Now, and maybe I should move my little box or make it a little bit smaller for a little bit. I'll go down to next to nothing. All right, so Stampin' Trimmer. Now, I've done extra things to mine. Like I put a little, this is one of those flat back opal pearls here, so I know which side is up, because I like having the upside. I have taken a piece of fresh freesia cardstock and just cut a strip and put it underneath my ruler here so I can see my ruler numbers there. The thing about this trimmer that's very nice is that you have many rulers. You have the ruler along here. You have the ruler across top. And you have it on both sides of the cutting channel. It only goes to 1.5 inches on this side. But with your arm, you go up to 17 inches on this side. So you have a ruler there at the very top. You have a ruler halfway through. And you have a ruler on the very bottom. Now myself, I have gotten off of Amazon just some adhesive rulers, and I put it down here. I don't use this very often, but I have it down there just in case. I also have taken a piece of my grid paper and just taped it up here, because sometimes when you're putting a full sheet on there, you can't see your numbers underneath there, so it's like, oh, I want to go back to 5 1/4. So I know I'm right about there. So I have that up there also. The track is long enough. In my track, I keep 2 scoring blades and a cutter. Now most people just have a scoring blade and a cutter in there. I have the second one just because, I don't know, I like it. I don't know. So yes, I have 2 different scoring blades and then the cutter in between. Now these are very nice. There's a little portion of your cutter down here where you can bring your item out. I'm going to show this to you closer. This is the scoring tool, and as you can see on there, you have marks on both the top and the bottom to show you where your score tool is, the actual piece in here that scores. And then you also have 2 lines on the side. So this is helpful when you are wanting to, like, let's say maybe you just want to score from let me bring this down a little bit. You want to score from 2 to 3. So you would line that inside your track. You would make sure that little line there is right at the 2, and you would score down to the 3. So it's very helpful for that. Like I said, that also, again, lift up your ledge right down here. There's a little place where your cutter will come out. Same, I'm not going to touch the blade. You can, let me bring it up here so you can see the blade. Oh, I always remember it's reverse. See that blade? Nice and shiny and sharp. Same thing with the cutter. And I'm going to be very careful here. Let me go back here. So you have those lines at both the top and the bottom, and then on the sides. Again, so to put it back in, you go where that little notch is, you put it down in there, and it grips. You put it in there, and it grips. And then you're inside. Now every once in a while, you will want to clean out your track. Good way to do that, and we'll show you this tool in a little bit, is with one of your attachments in your take your pick tool. I don't know if you can see, but got out a bunch of that paper fuzz. And I don't know if you can see, but see how there are paper pieces in there. You also can take a piece of cardstock and just run that in your track too to help cut it out. You just want to make sure you don't have any adhesives or anything inside that track. That way your blades are running smoothly. Now, I use my cutter for more than just cutting. I also use it to line up cardstock. Oh, now my blade fell out. Hang on. I must not have got the second side locked in. There we go. All right, let me show you. When you have a piece of cardstock, and we talked about how your base is usually, for me, 5.5 by 8.5, score at 4 1/4. So when you score at 4 1/4 with this score piece, these edges are raised. So see how your cardstock bumps up against it, and it's the same at the bottom. I like then taking my cardstock when I've scored it, making sure, let me get this down a little bit, making sure that the edges are all on there, because when you score, sometimes you can be a little bit off. So if you have both of your edges in there and you see no overhang here or there, you know you're exactly at half. So I use my cutting tool also to make sure that my cards are completely centered. All right, so like I say, when you go to cut, you have all the way to 17 inches when you extend that arm. On this side, you have all the way to 1 1/2. 1 1/2 is right at that very edge there. So that is 1 1/2. So if I cut there, I bring it over here and show you, there is 1 1/2. See, there's a slight difference. All right, so it's very easy, especially when you're scoring and or cutting. If it says like score every 1/2 inch, I usually will start on this side because you have more of a ledge hanging onto your paper here. If you go over here, here's your 1/2 inch, but see how much is not against an edge. So I feel like sometimes you won't get a really good score mark. So I usually will, for scoring every 1/2 inch, I'll score on this side. I'll go to 1, because I have a majority of my page is against that ledge. And then I'll flip it around this way. And I'll go to the 1 1/2, the 2, etc. So that's just me. I like using both sides of the trimmer when I can, when it's small measurements or small scoring. So you can cut and you can score. Like I said, it goes up to 17 inches. Let me see how well I can bring it up here. You can see on the trimmer that the part that swings out here, there are markings there. So you can see that that long line right there, that is your 6 1/4 mark. And then here's your 6 1/2. Oops, sorry. So this is 6 1/4, this long line on the black. Let me bring it up again closer so you can see it. That's 6 1/4, and then the first mark on your arm is 6 1/2. I also like this cutter because when you go right up against this edge, you're at 6 inches. So when you're taking your designer series paper, and I don't have any right with me right now, but when you have your designer series paper, you have a 12 by 12. If you bring it right to the edge, you're at that 6 inch mark. So for your 12 by 12, going right up to that edge, you're cutting it in half. So that's always great. All right, what else can I talk about with this? There's a little hook here, so you can hang it if you want. I always have mine off to the side, of course, just so I can always get to it on my shelf underneath my standing table. All right, so that's the trimmer. I feel like that, and we've had variations of it too. We also have the little baby guillotine trimmer that you'll see me use every once in a while. That was a hostess incentive a couple years back when you signed up. I'm sorry, not a host incentive, recruiting incentive. So a couple years back, if you signed up, you got that little baby guillotine as part of your signing up. Now, of course, the big sign up now, if you would sign up in my team during the month of January, February, you get that glass studio mat, the glass mat studio, which is the glass mat It is the, oh, let me make my little square bigger now. Sorry about that. So it's that glass mat. It's, here we go. All right. I was kind of slouching a little bit, wasn't I? All right. Let me move over. Here we go. Sorry. Now my camera's going weird. I gotta quit doing that. All right. So if you'd sign up to be on my team during the month of January or February, you could get that glass mat studio as a signing bonus. Either that, which is a $60 value, or you can get $35 extra in product. Now, you spend $99 plus tax, no shipping on your starter kit. So $99 plus tax. For that $99, you're going to get $125 worth of products. Okay. Oh, you know what? I should bring out my celebration so you can see. It's right on there. Sorry. So you can see right here. So you're going to get, for $99, you get the $125 in product. And then you choose, oh no, my phone. Hang on, I have to stand up and see what's going on. Hang on. All right, so we're outside Chicago and we have a lot of wind. That storm came through. We have a lot of wind today, so I have a feeling my internet's going to take a little while to catch up. Now it's going to take a little while for it to refocus. There we go. All right, so anyway, so $125 for $99, and then you can choose either the glass mat option or an extra $30, which means you would get $155 in product for $99 plus tax. And you choose your products. It's not like when I started up where we had to choose like 3 stamp pads and 2 stamps, and it was different. All right, anyway, enough of that. So the next thing that I use besides the trimmer are my paper snips. Paper snips are fun. I use them a lot on small little strips. Like if I have a little strip here, instead of running it through the cutter, I will line it up on a ruler and cut it this way. Oops, and I got that a little crooked because I'm not doing it right over it. Snips are also good when you're cutting out items. So like I showed you on last week on my Trusty Tools video how I had cut out a bunch of these. But you can see that these snips, they have a very fine point. And you can really get in there, use this part, and when you cut, of course, you're always moving the paper. If you're cutting around an object, you're not moving your scissors. You're keeping your scissors pretty much in a stationary position. But with these little snips with the ends, you can get such precise cutting. Oops, look at that. Oops, let me put my hand so you can see. See how close you can get? And most people have more than one snips. I have another pair. I don't know where it is. I had a pair that was just for ribbon cutting. Now I still have my old scissors from way back when, because remember, I've been doing this for, well, this will be my 25th year. I have my scissors from way back when that I use, that are dedicated for ribbon. So there you are, with your snips. Oh my gosh, can't hang on to anything today. With your snips, you can make very precision cuts. So you have your snips. A few other things that we'll talk about. Let's go ahead and talk about our the cutting tools on your take your pick tools. Now I feel like I need one more, and I'm going to show you why in a second. Not that you can interchange all these. You have on your take your pick tool and like I said, there are some cutting items on here. Oh, hang on just a second. Had to repause. I was watching the traders before I started. So you have an end that has an attachment that will screw in, and then you have an end that twists in. The reason I'm talking about the take your pick tool is that we have new this year, we have our crafting blade. That is one of those that screws in. So again, and this is where I'm not going to bring the glass mat down. And I'm trying to see, oh, here it is. Again, another thing, I've been with Stampin' Up! Forever. We used to have a toolkit. So with your hobby blade, your craft hobby blade, again, you can make very precise cuts. Bring that up. And you see how that is. Now if you want it even more precise, you can go in with your craft blade again and get right in there. Oh, hang on. Oh, there's. Just say one of the sides I didn't get. You want to be careful with your craft blade. Usually I'll use the craft blade to get down as close as possible, and then I'll come in with my snips and finish off the job. Just because I'm always so worried about cutting a finger off. I'm not going to cut a finger off, but you know what I mean. So then, and because the snips, you can get so close, there's such a thin, sharp blade, you can get right in there. I went in a little bit too much with that craft knife there, and let me trim it off now with the snips. There we go, a little bit better. So there you are. Now, when you go to cap this, again, you don't want to slice yourself up. I always put the point in first, like this, and then slide it down. That way your blade is always covered. All right, another item for our take your pick tool on the screw inside is your perforating edge blade. So that screws in to your take your pick tool. You want to, it's right now, it's right here. I don't know if you can see. Let me go like this. When it's pushed up, no blade showing. Oops, no blade showing. Push down, blade showing. Again, push up, push down. So when it's in that down position like this, I'm going to go ahead and cover it up now so I have no blade showing through. And can you see that perforation? So you actually could fold on that perforation line. Oops, I always get out of camera. I am so sorry. You can actually then oops, I got a little weird at the end there. So you can actually have that perforated edge, or you can just have a piece. Let's see, let me grab this from my earlier video. Or you can bring it down. You could have this as a background look on your cardstock. Just to add some textural background. Okay. Let me see what else is on this page to make sure I haven't forgot any cutting tools from this. So we went over the snips. We We went over the trimmer. Oh, you can always order extra multi-blades, and now online exclusive, you can order extra scoring blades. All right. You could also get a metric ruler if you wanted to. That arm that came up. All right, so take your pick tools with your crafter tips, which is that hobby blade, and that perforating. So those are the cutting tools on this page. Now we're going to go ahead and go to what I'm also claiming is cutting tools, because these can cut paper on their own. Like I said, we're not going to go into die cuts. That's down the road a ways, only because with die cuts you need something else actually to finish cutting. So we're going to talk about punches. So let's grab out, and I have different kinds here because I want to show you different things with them. So, sorry, I'm right by, and I'm never going to use that, so we'll use this on the back side. All right, so you have a punch. I usually go upside down, and I always put paper over because it's shiny metallic underneath there. I don't like the shiny metallic, so I always cut out cardstock and tape it on top so it's not shiny. But I usually use my punches upside down, only because you can't tell how far it's going to go in. So I like going in, and I like if I'm using this not as part of the card base, but actually I just want to punch out a shape, I like being as close to the edge as possible, so I get the most out of my cardstock. You just punch down, and that's it. You've cut out your paper. Now I store mine on, I think it's an IKEA towel rack. I don't know if you can see behind me how they're on the wall. So I usually store them open like this. But if you're setting them on the shelf, you just close it all the way down, move that lever, and it stores flat. All right. I also like this because for the most part, when you look here, that is going to be your center line, your little piece here. Not always, but for the most part, that where that trivet is usually your center line. I also like using punches if I have a strip. Let's say I was going to put a word greeting on this. You can also use your punch to make it like a tag look. So see how I'm just going barely in there? And now I have a tag look. So another use for certain punches. All right, let's go ahead and put that one off to the side. You also have various shapes. Here's like a circle punch. I've made marks on my circle punch. It's from a Karen Titus class where we were doing a circle, but we were doing 4 pieces to like patchwork it in. So I made these marks so I would know that when I put my cardstock in, I'm getting the edges on both of those marks. And that's a quarter of a circle. So then, let me show you. Let me show you, I'll just do 2, I won't do a full circle. So here's another one where I'm lining up those 2 lines. So then you can see here that you could do different designer papers and make a circle, and it looks kind of like a quilt work or a patchwork type card. All right, we also have punches that can be layering. So if I punch this out, and if I do a strip, I can do one at a time. All right, you would just measure how wide that is and you do it. I like doing this, and again, I'm going to try to use as much of my cardstock as possible. So let me cut that. So there we have those 2 pieces. Here, let me move this out of the way. and maybe this. Of course, now we're white on white, so. Ugh. And then I was using up some old DSP from a couple of years ago. So let's go ahead and punch this out too. So now you can have your layers. So that's a fun punch. It's called the double oval. It's a fun punch for greetings. All right. Of course, you have some like this that just stand alone. Now this, and I don't think I have a piece with me. It's in my other drawer. Let me look really quick to see if I have any of my, oh, did I just move my camera? All right. I was trying to find, I guess I'll just use this. I was trying to find, I have a stack of cardstock that I have done with the old pigment sprinkles, but you have dies that can be standalone shapes. So this coordinated at one time with a stamp set, so you could stamp it and then, of course, punch it out. Or so there you are. So you also have items that can be punched out. My two favorite are, of course, the dragonflies, because, you know, I'm all about dragonflies. And from the online exclusives, the little truck. I love those. Love those a lot. This was newly introduced in this cattle with the inked and tiled. What's nice about these is that, and let me grab out from over here. On these, you buy them as a set, but it's two separate punches. It's not the same one, both items on one punch, which is kind of nice. And these can interlock. Here, let me move my dragonflies out of the way. These can interlock, as you can see, and you can make a whole quilted look out of them. You also can just use these together and make a pattern that way. You could do different colors here and make it ends up being slightly, it would go from, let me show you. You can lock these in this way where you have the two straight edges together, and it will eventually go diagonally up your card. So just fun that they can interlock together. They can stand alone on their own, or you can use them to build on in their form, either as they are now, side by side like X's. You can interlock them. Just, it's a fun set, and it matches that inked and tiled, and there was a stamp set that it also matched to in the winter catalog, the August or December that just retired. All right, the last item we're going to talk about in our cutting tools are the pick-a-punch. Now, these pick-a-punches are, and see, I should cover that up. I don't have that. That's why you can see, oh look, you can almost see my ceiling fan. You can see my phone. I don't like the glare. So anyway, these are for strips. As you can see, the channels are 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and 1/2 an inch. Which means when you have a strip, this just happens to be 1 inch. Oh, I don't have it all the way in. Hang on. make sure I have it all the way in. There we go. There we go. So here's my 1 inch. It's in that channel. You would cut it down, stamp your greeting, however long it's going to be, and then you would know, like if your greeting, let's say your greeting went that far, you would put this tag at the end, this end. Let me do it in a color. Let me see if I can rip this off so we can get, all right, let me just cut this to 1 inch. Let me show you. It's so much easier to show you in color. All right. Sorry. Let me go ahead and put that all the way through and punch it. So when you punch through, you'll have that little edge, right? So now I can show you. So if your greeting is, let's say, this long, your words end there, you would put this tag where you want it, this little piece here, at the end of the word, draw a little line, put a little pencil mark, whatever, and then you know that that's where you're going to cut to. So let me just take the snips. You're going to cut there, and then that edge is going to go in there. And you're going to punch it down, and it'll be fine. Because not all of our phrases are the same length. Let's say your word is only this long. So your word, your stamped word ends there. Again, take this, line it up to the edge of where that greeting ends. Snip it off. Put it in there. Oh, here's a good, oh, let me show you, because this is a good, am I going to be able to get that out? All right, when your item is too small, what I do is I will take a piece of cardstock, put just a little dab of glue on there, and then I just want it to be tacky, because you don't want it to stick. So now I'm going to put that underneath there, so I can now put this all the way in, because it was too short to go all the way in. Again, you can see it's lined up underneath here, and you bring your piece out and remove your little sticky part. And that's how you can get really small tags in there. Because again, you have a long space here. Your tag may not be as long as that space there. So that is the Banners Pick-a-Punch. Same with the Labels Happy Punch. It's a 1 inch, 3/4, or half, depending on how far you go in. Let's bring this one all the way in. So there's, oops, I didn't get it all the way. I didn't do it very good. Let me try the other way. I think I moved it when I went to punch because it's not very long. Let me make sure it looks like it's even. See, it's not having it a crooked. So now it's in the channel. Because see, my paper barely does not fit in that channel. So now it's in the channel. And it's gonna let it come out. So that's what that side looks like. It's more like that movie ticket look. The other side is more of that scallop look. And then you have the banners. We showed the one side, let's show that other side. All right, so here's the banners. You have your inverted tag. You have your protruding tag. And then you have your ticket edge and your scallop edge. All right, guys, that's it for cutting tools. Like I said, the majority of them are going to be your snips, your trimmers, your hobby blades that you seem to use a lot more. The punches by themselves are a cutting tool. So make good use of them. And then again, this is good for those people who don't have a Stampin' Cut Emboss machine or any type of embossing machine that you can run through, crank through your dies or your folders. So these are a good substitute, and they're so quick. You can like go through in seconds and get your satisfaction, get your items out. All right, guys, that's it for today. Hope you've enjoyed Chapter 3, Cutting Tools. Let me go ahead, go back up here. Hope you have a great Saturday. Oh, it's getting a little bit darker again. It's just the way it's going to be here in the Chicagoland area. Have a great Saturday, and we'll see you again next weekend. Next weekend is markers. All right, guys. See you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Give me a thumbs up, share your video with friends or on social media. Subscribe if you haven't already. But most of all, have a great weekend. All right. Goodbye for now.